record to this computer. There we go. Anyone want to run over anything specific, any issues that they've had or found or anything else? Anything specific? No? No, 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 no. Okay. Well, if you think of anything, we can always come back to it. Um, so I forget who was it was asked. Was it you, Scott? Was it you, Andrew? Or was it you, Brian? I can't remember who was asking me about swing trading.
I think Emma
Oh, it's
was.
Emma, wasn't it? I'm sure it was
It
Emma.
Me.
was Emma. Okay. All right. Well, the only person I didn't mention there. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, all right. So we'll do a little bit on swing trading, and then we can also go and see if we have some setup so we can kind of have a look at that and see what we come up with. How does that sound? So
Sounds
let
great.
me let me go and share my screen. You can ask questions as we go along, guys. I am recording it. If you want to take screenshots as well, you can do, obviously. I'll put it on YouTube. I'm not sure whether I'll make it private or I'll open it up. I'll see if I feel like it did a good job, I might open it up public. So we'll see what happens. All right, let me share my screen here because I might make it public. I'm just going to put the disclaimer up there anyway. Let's do the slideshow so you can see everything. There we go. So you notice a disclaimer is up there. You're all familiar with that. So let's go into this. So key differences. Can everyone see that okay? Is that all clear? Okay. So look, I know we talk about swing trading, but a lot of you also might be thinking more day trading than swing trading as well. So I've kind of, excuse me, I've kind of included both of them here. So, scalping, we're all used to trading on the 1 minute and the 5 minute. That's our scalping time frames. But on day trading, we're really looking at the 15 minute and above, the 15 minute up to the 4 hour. Oh, Janie's on. She's watching from the car. Hi, Janie. Um, if you have to drop off, this will give you an idea what it's all about if you want to watch a recording later as well, Janie. Um, so day trading, we're really looking at that 15 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour time slot. And for swing trading, it's a little bit longer. It's the 4 hour to the daily. We have a couple of people who trade that 4 hour. Mike Bruce is in the chat on the Sniper Pro Telegram chat. He likes those longer time frame trades, and they can be very lucrative. And they have a number of other advantages. Obviously, you don't have to sit there watching the chart all the time. When Cheney's out driving in a car, she can set these trades up in advance and put her stop losses in and everything else. And stick some alerts on Trading View, and it's much less stressful usually. Obviously, if it goes against you, then you're back in Stressville straight away, obviously. Um, the scalping, you're really talking your trade really lasts minutes, sometimes seconds. If you get in and it turns against you, you're out again. But usually we talk about scalping in minutes. Day trading is really going to take a lot longer than that, and stretching into hours. And then when you look at swing trading, we're really looking at being in trades for days, sometimes weeks. So, when we have these big high targets, when we had targets of, when we put out these big targets, gold at 4,000, that's not a scalping. That's not a scalping. That's not a scalping target, and it's not a day trading target. It's a swing trading target. Could take weeks. Sometimes it takes months to hit those big targets. We know it's getting there. We just don't know how quickly it's getting there. Scalping, we can take 10 to 15 is quite a lot. I mean, you could take, you could also take 2 to 5 on scalping, depending on how much time you're spending at the charts. If you're only spending an hour, then, 2 to 5 in an hour is, probably pretty doable. If you're spending, a couple of hours, and obviously double that, 4 to 10. If it's 3 hours, then you can be looking at 6 to 15. So that's kind of where you get those time frames from. But swing trading, you can be looking at maybe only taking 1 or 2 a week because you're really looking for those premium setups. And they don't come along that often. If you imagine you're looking at a daily candle, guys, it's one candle a day. If you don't get a setup on that day, you got to wait for the next day. Even in the 4 hour candles, if you're looking at the 4 hour time frame, the lower of that range on swing trading, you're only getting 6 candles. And if you don't see a candle usually for, let's say, 20 candles, like you do on the 1 minute, well, 20 candles on a 4 hour chart is going to take you 3 days before you see a setup. So that's why it's a totally different way of trading, and you have to be aware of that. Scalping, we do small stop losses. Very often we don't have a stop loss if we're trading very quickly. I very often don't put a stop loss if I'm not trading over news or red folders, which I very rarely do. I won't put a stop loss because I'm watching the chart. Now, as soon as I step away from the chart, I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to go and grab a cup of tea. I'm going to go let the dogs out, whatever it is. Then obviously I put my stop loss in always. Never ever leave your chart without a stop loss. Okay. So, I don't know why my phone's blowing up today. Let me just turn it off. Um, so you'll usually have small stop losses or no stop loss at all. When you're day trading, yes, you need a stop loss, but you're getting a bit bigger than that. When I say 10 to 30 pips, that might be um, that might be 10 pips below the recent swing low, or 10 pips below a PSAR, or 10 pips below a pivot point. Not necessarily a total of 10 pips, depending what you trade, obviously. And when you go to swing trading, you got to have much bigger stop loss because it swings. That's why it's called swing trading. It can swing around quite a bit. So you have to allow for much bigger stop losses when you're going to these higher time frames. And that obviously you have to factor in your size of your account, whether you're on demo or live account. If you're on a live account, how big is your live account? If you're on a funded account, guys, you have to be a little bit careful because a lot of the funded trading accounts will have daily drawdowns and maximum drawdowns. So what does that mean? Well, the daily drawdown may be 4%. It may be 4%. So let's say on a $25,000 funded trader account, 4% is $1,000. But your total drawdown before they stop you out could be 6%. So if you drop your account $1,500 over a period of days, that's in total. So you drop your $25,000 account down to 23,499, then the account is closed. And in swing trading, that's something you got to be aware of if you're on a funded trade account, is to make sure you stay within your stop loss limits so you don't crash and burn that account. Okay, and your risk reward goes up. On my beginner rules, we focus on a 1-to-1 risk reward. Hopefully, by now that our TPs on most of our stuff is set at 1-to-1. So TP1 is a one-to-one risk reward. But on Forex, it's not. So our Forex one is set to 1 to 1.5. So your TP on Forex is 1 to 1.5. That's TP1. So TP2 is obviously 1 to 3. And don't forget, we got TP3 and 4 coming eventually. Not sure when, but anyway, it will come. Dogs are going crazy. Somebody's coming up to the door here. Um, so we have 1 to 1 is the risk reward. Sorry, that barking threw me off a little bit. 1 to 1 risk reward on scalping. Obviously, if we can run that higher, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, that's great. Day trading, you should be already aiming at the bigger risk reward, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. And swing trading, you're looking for the bigger rewards. The reason being is you're looking for those bigger returns the longer you're in a trade. I mean, otherwise, what's the point? If you're scalping and get 1 to 1, you can just keep taking lots of small trades at 1 to 1. That's fine. If you're going to start risking using bigger stop losses, you want a better return. So on day trading, we want 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or higher. Many times, Jim and I will take much higher than that. So I mean, that's just the minimum you aim for. So, you've seen them in the chat, people taking, 1 to 15, 1 to 20, 1 to 30, but that's just the minimum that you will look at. Okay, and what we're looking for is we're looking for very much on trend trades on the long term. You can get away with counter trend trades on the shorter term, on scalping, but it's very hard to get away from your day trades and swing trades when you're against the trend. Okay, so we have a little bit of a difference in terms of how we look at divergence, for instance. We want divergence to occur when it gets us back on trend. So that's what we're looking at after a pullback. So with these higher time frame trades, we're looking much more for trend trades and trades off a pullback, which is going to give us another, or maybe not another entry, but will give us an entry or a re-entry when it's bouncing off something, when it's already gone through the pullback. So how do we use? So now I'm talking about day trading right now, guys. So I've given you what we're looking at on day trading and what we're looking at on swing trading. Right now I'm going to do more on the day trading because I feel that if you haven't done that, then day trading is much more of a natural step, looking to trade, for several minutes to hours than it is to start looking for swing trading where you're trading for days or weeks. Okay. And don't forget, guys, when you're in a trade, let's say you are in a trade for 4 hours or whatever, while that trade is open, that is eating up that portion of your account that you've risked on the trade. So depending what size your account is, I had a girl the other day, she had a small account, I think it was $500, and she said, can't place a trade. I'm trying to place a trade and I can't place a trade. And I asked her how many trades that she had open, and she had 4 open trades. Well, you got to figure those 4 open trades and the risk and the leverage on those 4 open trades. She had no money left over in account to place another trade. That's why a broker wouldn't let her place another trade. Because when you have a trade open, it's going to reduce your account size that you can trade with. You understand that, right? So you have to be very careful when you have these longer term trades open, because you could have several open at the same time on day trading. If you're looking to take some trends, you might find several things that are set up. So, for instance, if you're trading Forex and you see some nice setups on USD, well, you might find that all the USD pairs are setting up the same way. If it's the first, where USD is the first pair and it's all looking on trend for bullish, well, guess what? If USD is the second pair, it's probably on trend to go bearish. And so you could have two or three forex pairs all showing good entries on a day trade or swing trade. Can you take them all? Well, I wouldn't risk all of them on the same pair. If you're risking it on USD going up or down, then I would not risk it all on one. Keep it small. But you do have to realize that it can eat up the capital in your account. So if you've got a big demo account, 100K, it doesn't make much difference. But when you got a funded trader account or a live account, you got to realize that they're going to eat up your leverage there. So what do we do? Again, the higher context time frames we're looking at are going to be the daily and the 4 hour, because we're looking to align that broader trend. And this, guys, is where you start coming into looking at the trend screener a little bit stronger, because we also want our trend to be more of a strong trend than a consolidating or pullback or any of the other ones. Okay, we want things to really line up on these longer term trades. Our primary chart is going to be the 1 hour, which we're going to look for our trend direction again, and key levels. And what I mean by trend direction, guys, you got to start looking at those EMAs very, very much more closely. What do I mean by that? Your 55 EMA, which is the one that turns blue and red, on these longer term trades, you want to make sure that it's blue if you're going for a buy and red if it's going for a sell, because that's going to help you take on trend trades. If it's breaking through that 55 EMA, that's fine. You also want to make sure the 233, the purple, is in the right position. You want it to be under your price action if you're looking for buys, and you want it to be above price action when you're looking for sells. Okay. If anyone has any questions, unmute yourself, because I'm not looking at the chat here. So if anyone's popping stuff in the chat, I can't see it right now. I will get to it in a minute. But if anyone has any questions as we go, just unmute yourself and ask me. So we got the higher context 4 hour. The primary chart for trend direction key levels is the 1 hour. Our entry chart is the 15 minute. We're not looking at the 1 or the 5 or anything like that. The entry chart means that's where we're taking our trades. Okay, the tools you want to be looking at are that 55 and 233. You want to be looking at support and resistance areas. And you want to be looking at, I didn't put it in there, I thought I did. You want to be looking at the PSARs. PSARs should be under for a buy and above for a sell. Okay. The other thing that we want to be doing, I'm going to just add that in. Hold on a sec. Let me go back. Let me add that in, guys, because while I think of it, we want to be doing the PSARs, and we want sniper later, snake, above, below, 50%. You all know what that means, right? because these are longer term trades. So we want more things to start lining up. And don't forget, this is not beginner strategy, guys. This is intermediate. If you're at a stretch, you really need to be at the 6-6 rules at least before you start looking at these longer term trades because you want to know. And I don't even think this is in the 6-6 rules, the sniper later stake above or below the 50%. But we have spoken about that before in the advanced sessions. If the snake is above the 50%, we're more likely to be in buy territory. And if it's below, we're more likely to be in sell territory. Okay. You can look at price action. I know Sniper Pro gives you this price action in other ways anyway, but if you're used to looking at it this way, you can put a trend line along your higher highs or lower lows, and look at where your previous swing highs and swing lows are. And you should also be looking at where your session highs and lows are. You need to know where your Asian session highs and lows are. You need to know where your London session highs and lows are, as well as let's assuming you're trading New York session. Um, then you need to know where your Asian and London is if you're trading New York session. Okay, and also we're going to start using Fibonacci. I know we haven't really um, trained on Fibonacci, and the reason being I'm still waiting for the developers to be able to put my custom Fibonacci settings on there. They're all Fibonacci numbers, but I put them down in a different way so that it gives you a clearer idea where your targets are going to be longer term. So my Fibonacci settings are very, very good. When people ask me where do I get my settings for gold on long term, and I'm telling them, we're hitting 3,837, and if we break that, we'll go to 3,901, and if we break that, we're going to go 4,000, and if we break, that's all from the Fibonacci retracement tool. Okay, so we do need to know that, and you do need to know your candles, guys. I've got the Candlestick Bible pinned to the top of the Sniper Pro Telegram chat. You need to know your candle patterns. You need to know your engulfing. You need to know your harami. You need to know your hammers, your pin bars. You need to know those things. I'm not going to go into training here, but you need to know your candle patterns because they're extra confirmations of what's happening when price comes and hits a level, either an EMA or a pivot point, a big round number, or whatever. Okay. And how do you do your entries and stop loss and TPs? Okay, so your buy entries, we're using the 15-minute for buys and sells, not going any lower. And we want to see them bouncing off those key levels or going through those key levels. So what does that mean? First of all, we want to be, let's say we're going in for a buy, the first one. Obviously, we want to be above the 55, so it is blue, and we want to be above the 233, which is the purple EMA. We want the trend screener to say we're bullish. We want it to say that we're in a strong bullish trend, if possible. We want our sniper later snake to be in the upper 50%. Obviously, if trend direction is blue, we do want that too, because that does give us a shorter term trend direction bias, and we do want to enter when that is in blue if we're going up as well. But we want to see, we might be bouncing off key levels. Our key levels, not only are they the EMAs, but they could be the reversal areas in the Bollinger Band. So again, if you're going for a buy, they'll be bouncing off the inner, the middle, or the outer Bollinger Bands at the bottom. They might be bouncing off the pivot points to the right. as well as maybe some other, like the gold EMA, for instance, and sell entry. And you need to know those bullish candles, what the bullish candle looks like, okay, and reversal candles. Your sell entries are obviously exactly the opposite. You'll be looking for your bearish signals and your bearish candles. Okay, your stop loss, again, to reiterate, 10 to 30 pips below the recent swing high for a sell or the recent swing low for a buy, or again, looking for our PSARs or our pivot points. Sniper Pro has got all this built in. So use what Sniper Pro, the tools that they have. Okay, avoid, I got an N in there, I'll change that. Avoid placing the stop loss at the big round number, because when you go to these higher time frames, the big round numbers become a little bit more important. They are taken into account with the algorithms and the institutional traders, so just be careful of the BRNs, the big round numbers. Okay. And obviously for your take profits, because we're looking at, 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, then Sniper Pro has those already in there for you. But again, as we're more advanced, we are also looking at those key levels. And so when people say, are we going to 4,000 on gold? That was my long-term goal on gold. I will put it in the context of, yes, if we break 3703, which could be TP1, we're going to go to 3789, which could be a pivot point. And if we break that, we're going to 3841, which could be a banking level. And then if we break that, we're going to go to 3901, which could be then TP2. So I'm using all of those as potential areas for my TPs. And like I said before, we are hoping to get TP3 and 4 added pretty soon to Sniper Pro. So they're already in there for you. And don't be afraid to take partial closes at the bottom there. You can take, I put 50 to 75. It depends on your lot size, depends how the trade is going, depends on how confident that it's still going in your direction. But you can start taking partial closes so you get some pips in the bag. What does that mean? If you hit TP1, you might take 50% of a partial close. You only got half your trade open, but you might also only take a quarter. Hopefully you all know how to take partial trades on the broker platform that you use. It's pretty easy. Not sure whether Jim is Jim on the call? I don't know whether he's on the call. He knows all this stuff. He doesn't have to be. But he might have a video in his YouTube about taking partials. Um, and then once you've taken some partials, you want to start trailing that stop loss. That doesn't change. You're going to be trailing your stop loss, first to break even, so you're not going to lose any money. And then as it goes up, you can use the PSARs, you can use the pivot points to trail your stop loss. You have to give it plenty of room to breathe on these higher time frames, though, guys. The only time that you would start pushing your stop loss right up its backside is when you feel that it's going to run out of steam, or you've hit that point that you think is the top for this particular run, if it's a buy, bottom if it's a sell. So you can start trailing a stop loss really, really closely. If you're like, for instance, if gold was getting close to 4,000, and at 4,000, you've got a banking level, obviously, and you've got a pivot point, you might, as you're approaching 4,000, and that was your target, you can trail very, very tight to 4,000 so that if it hits it and bounces back down, which obviously is likely to do, you're going to take maximum amount of pips. Um, Hopefully that makes sense, guys. So critical adjustments on these longer term trades, you do have to be very, very patient. With swing trading, especially, you've got to be patient. You're not going to be taking any trades. Could be for days before you take a trade. With day trading, if you're trading in the morning before work and you've got an hour or two, you might not see a setup at all. Again, could be for days. If you're only trading an hour or two a day, you're looking for entries on the 1 hour and you're trading for 2 hours. There's two candles. Yes, we're going to trade on the 15 minutes. So in 2 hours, you do have eight candles, but eight candles is not many candles to hope that Sniper Pro starts throwing something up for us to bite and to hang on to. Okay. So here's some tips when you start doing this. I mean, obviously, I haven't written this one down, but if you're on a funded trader account or a live account, I would go back to demo just for your swing trading so you get the hang of it. Okay, you don't want to be putting real money on the line until you're more experienced with day trading or swing trading. Number one, obviously, I didn't put it in there, but kind of goes without saying. If you're already day trading or swing trading and you just want to improve your success rate, obviously you can carry on the way you are, and hopefully this is helping you. Um, Use low leverage because again, these things can move a lot in the time frame the trade is open. And so when you have this higher leverage, if it does move against you, don't forget your stop losses are much bigger. Where you're putting your stop loss is much bigger. The higher that leverage is, the bigger that number's going to be. So you want to use lower leverage than you're used to. You would mark up the 1 hour chart. That's where you're going to mark up your pullbacks so you can see where they may be. Again, Sniper Pro is going to help you with that, but you might want to manually put your pullback areas on there. Trading higher volume sessions. What does that mean? Obviously, the highest trading session is when London and New York overlap. That's the highest out there. You've got the two biggest sessions, London and New York, overlapping. That is going to give you the highest volume out there. If you can't do that, then trade London or trade New York. If you can't do that, I know I've been talking about this with some people. If they're trading at odd hours and they have to trade, Asian range, for instance, what do they trade? And on the advanced session on Thursday, guys, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over what instruments we can trade at what time of the day. So, people who are on night shifts, they know what they can trade. People in different countries, what session they're trading. Obviously, Forex pairs on Asian session, they're going to move differently, or the different pairs are going to move on Asian session than they do on London session, they do on New York session. We're going to go over that on Thursday on Advanced. And my suggestion is start with Forex pairs. If you're new to day trading and swing trading, start on the Forex pairs first because they are less volatile than gold for sure in US 30, but obviously less volatile than NAS, S&P 500, UK 100, etc., etc. So again, my advice is drop to the Forex pairs while you're practicing. So you can get, and not do many. Depending on what session you're trading, you might just decide to trade, GPP USD and USD JPY, for instance, a couple of the big ones. And then use alerts on TradingView. How do you use alerts on TradingView? It's very easy on TradingView. You can open up a you can open up a chart, you can put in, your 55 and your 233 EMAs, for instance, and you can put alerts on those EMAs. So if price breaks through one of those, you get an alert. So use alerts on TradingView. Obviously, if you're on the free one on TradingView, you're only, I forget how many you're allowed. You're only allowed like one or two alerts, I think, on the free one. But when you get up into the paid TradingView, you are allowed more alerts. Okay, that's the end of that, guys. Let's get out of that and stop sharing. We have stopped sharing. Okay. So, any questions on that, guys? Was that good, Emma? Did that answer some of your questions, or did it just bamboozle you? Or now you're just going to go back to scalping and forget this day trading stuff? Or what are you doing?
No, no, I love it actually. It's just a time factor for me. I don't have as much time to be on the charts, so I'm looking to take maybe 3 trades a week at the moment. And I think that was really helpful actually. I wouldn't mind definitely watching the recording again.
Okay.
Um, but I think that's a really good learning tool. And I'm definitely looking to just pick one Forex pair and just focus on that one, and just familiarize myself with it. I've only really been looking at gold and US 30 and NAS for years. So Forex moves slower, slightly differently. So I've been sitting during London Open and just watching it for the last week and just putting in my highs and lows and really not doing any more than that. But yeah, starting slow
Yeah,
to get into a
perfect.
habit.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Yeah, and again, this session wasn't designed to like be the be all end all of how you do day trading and swing trading. It's a little bit like Sniper Pro. It's a process. You have to learn.
Hmm.
And you have to learn, go on your demo account first, obviously, so that you can make mistakes, even if you think you're getting it right. We're going to make mistakes on these higher time frames. Um, and also, don't forget, you can also do both types. So if you're on the charts, you want to take a couple of scalps on the 1 minute or the 5 minute, that's perfectly
Hmm.
fine. But then look at those higher time frames and, be aware the differences between trading on those higher time frames. You can see the stuff that I highlighted there that we are looking, really at the whole structure of the chart, uh,
Hmm.
in terms of those EMAs, key levels, pivot points, everything else, and trend, you know.
Hmm.
So we're really looking at those. So you can still take the scalps if you want to.
Hmm.
But when you're looking at the day trade, now, when you look at those time frames, that I showed you with day trading and swing trading, are you now thinking that it's day trading that you want to be looking at, maybe hours or a day or two rather than swing trading where you're in it for
Absolutely.
days a week?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
exactly, it's like you knew when I said swing trading,
Yeah.
didn't actually mean swing trading. I meant day trading.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I knew that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
So,
and that's the reason why I did that presentation like that is so that you could, get a real visual idea of the difference between them. I'm not saying
hmm.
swing trading's wrong. I got lots of people who make massive amounts of money swing trading, but it is a different mindset. It is a different way of trading, and it does require that patience,
Hmm.
and you know when we're scalping, we all start off on the 1 minute and the 5 minute, and then a lot of us, we kind of get a little, it's kind of tiring looking at the noise in the 1 minute and the 3 minute all the time,
Hmm.
and very often, a lot of us transition to the 5 minute, even though we're still calling ourselves scalpers, because there's just a little less noise, there's a little bit more
Yeah.
structure. It's a little bit easier to not panic when there's a little pullback on the 1 minute. It's a little easier when you're on the 5 minute. You often don't see those pullbacks. You often don't see the red arrows um, because they just don't show on the 5 minute. So following on from that, going on to the 15 minute and above, um, again, kind of lowers your stress level a little bit. You've got a little bit more time to think, a little bit more time to analyze, a little bit more time to see where those setups might be.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what I need currently with the work that I'm doing. I am just finding the 1 minute exactly that, just a bit too busy. And so when I have a longer time frame up, I kind of glance at it and go, oh, that's all good as long as it's going, the direction I want it to. I don't peek back. Just it keeps my focus when
Yeah,
it's longer candles. Mm,
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
mm,
people that have gone that route, day trading and swing trading, they all of them, without exception, I think, um, would never go back to scalping.
hmm. Yeah, just
Because
the
they
right.
like that. They like to be able to they're taking bigger trades. It's bigger money. It's less stressful. Especially when you do some of the other mindset stuff that we've been working on. Think about pips, not dollars. Think about percentages, not dollars. Think about the process, not the dollars. Think about making proper entries and exits, not when you hit, $500 or $1,000 or whatever. If you're
Mm,
working the process, you know, it might not be a $500 trade. It might be a $433 trade. But that
mm,
$4,300 trade is exactly on a big round number, or exactly on a banking level, or exactly on a golden EMA or a pivot point, and the number's 433. Oh yeah, 500 sounds good because if we get fixated on the dollar amount, 500 sounds better than 433. But the fact is, if the trade is a 433 trade, that's just what the trade is. Don't force the
mm,
$500 trade. If it's a
mm.
433 trade, you take the 433 trade. And so that kind of factors in all those mindset trainings that we've done about looking at percentages, looking at pips instead of looking at dollar amounts because they can scare you a bit.
Absolutely. And I think just for me personally, maybe this might not be anyone else, but when I'm scalping using like I don't know, I use Black Bull. It's like a New Zealand broker. I find it really easy to get in and get out and make adjustments on my phone. It's so simple. But when I'm using a funded trader account, I really struggle to put everything in, work out the levels, and then by the time I've done all of that, the trade's literally gone. And then I'm actually playing catch up to it. So that might just be a practice thing for me, or maybe I need to learn how to use a funded trader on my phone. But I just find that the with my other broker, I push a button and I'm in, and it's like, oh, go, and it's gone. But I'm trying to put like the stop loss in, and I'm trying to put this in, and by the time I fuff around with it, the trade's moved, 30 pips, and I'm like, ah, it's gone now. But
Yeah.
so that's just me personally. Yeah, that's just a personal thing I need to kind of work on with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, no, it is different. When I started trading, I just had my laptop screen and my phone. And so I would watch the charts on my laptop screen and take all the trades on my phone. Mostly, I've just got one other screen attached to my laptop now. And so on my bigger screen, that's where my chart is, so I can see it. If I want to put up, several charts, I can do. But then I trade on my laptop screen.
mm.
And with my funded trader accounts that I like with Funded Trading Plus, they use Trade Locker. So I can enter a trade
Right.
and very, very quickly enter the stop loss and TP. It's a very quick process for me on my laptop, but I very rarely trade on my phone now.
Hmm.
I often, when I'm trading on my phone, it's often on a demo account when I'm showing people how to trade. And I'm using mainly a demo account because I'm showing people how to get into trades and out of trades without necessarily knowing whether it's a good trade or not. And I don't want to lose my money showing somebody else how to take a trade. I'll do it on my demo account. So that's how I do my setup.
Okay. I think I'm definitely going to put on a trial account to do this. Like I think that made such good sense. Just because it's different, and then I'll be able to work out the percentages with the account level, and I just think it would be a good place to start. And I could just start taking trades without worrying about it. So I
Right.
might as well actually
Yeah,
just do
when
that.
one of the tips in there that you saw, when you set up, if you've already got a demo account, then just use that. But if you're setting up a new demo account, very often the broker will allow you to set the leverage level. And
Hmm.
typically we go for high leverage, 1 to 500 or something like that. You want to set it on the lowest leverage. So if they offer a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 50, you want to take that because that's going to be more realistic when you
Mm.
change over. And also if the trade goes for you, you're going to see bigger amounts than you're realistically going to be looking at. And obviously, if the
Mm.
trade goes against you, you're going to be seeing bigger losses looming than you would do on these higher leverage things. So try and get that leverage, to a smaller amount because that's what you should be setting on your broker as well.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's the plan moving forward for me. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm
Anybody
taking
else
over
there? Does anyone
the
else
chat.
enjoy that? Have any
Yeah.
comments on that at all? Unmute yourselves and let's have a look.
Chuck chuck your camera up so we can see you.
Yeah. Nobody, nobody, nobody. That's
No, I'm
okay if you
good.
don't. Oh, here we go. There's Scott.
Yeah, I'm good. That was excellent.
Excellent. Good, good, good. I mean, for this, even if you haven't considered day trading or swing trading, you definitely want to start adding this when you're comfortable to your arsenal. Because again, like I just said to Emma, you can do both. So, if you like still trading on the 1, the 3, the 5, etc. And the 15 is kind of on the border. So you can scout with the 15 as well. But really, once you get to the 15, you are looking because obviously each candle's 15 minute. So if you get it on one candle, you really wait another whole 15 minutes for the next candle. And if it really doesn't tell you much, you could wait 2 or 3 more candles, and before you know it, you're up to an hour and nothing's really happened. So that's why we don't really use them for scalping. When we're scalping, we'll use the 15 minute for our trend direction and our levels and all that kind of stuff. So hey, hi Tanya. So hopefully that is. I didn't notice Tanya was on. So
She's
hopefully that
lurking.
gave you some good ideas there, guys, for that. And obviously, we didn't go. I said start off on Forex when you're learning, but obviously, once you're comfortable with day trading or swing trading, you can do it. Yeah, that's okay, Tanya. I know you're probably off skiing somewhere. We know. Um, but no, I know you're busy. Um, you can trade anything. If you want to trade, day trade crypto, that's perfectly fine. I've got people who only day trade gold. That's all they do. And I've got other people only swing trade gold. They're in it for a long, long time, and they make humongous amounts of money. But
Mm.
you got to know what you're doing because you know how volatile gold is. You got to know how to set your stop losses and how to set your pivot points and where your rejections might be, where your support and resistance might be, etc. And maybe what we can do if everyone gives it a try, because we're kind of at the top of the hour already. I don't know why it goes so
Mm.
quickly. I know I'm not, it's not me talking slowly. I know that. Um, but we always get to the hour so quickly. My sessions are the same. But maybe what we can do is revisit this, in a couple of weeks or a month's time or whatever, and kind of, start opening up some of these trades, or you can shoot me over some of the trades you were looking at, what went right, what went wrong. I saw this, we were above the 55, we were above the 233, looked like we were on trend. I entered, but, within 6 hours, I was in a massive drawdown. What happened? We can analyze some of those trades as well at a later stage. I mean, I'd go on
Sounds
the
good.
charts now, but I mean, everything that I was telling you all know what they mean. You know what the
Mm.
55 blue red EMA is. You know what the 233 purple EMA is. You know what the pivot points are. You know all that. You know where the Bollinger Band reversal points are. You know all that. So we're going to factor all those things in. You're still using Sniper Pro tools because Sniper Pro is still telling you all the information, whether you're scalping or you're day trading or swing trading. So you're still using those. Um, so, that's not going to change. Just the whole patience and, calmness and waiting for you really got to make sure they're high probability trades. So that's the whole part of making sure you're on trend. For instance, higher probability trend, moving away from the EMAs rather than towards them, higher probability trades. If it's coming down towards the 55 EMA and there's a possibility it might change color, that's not as high a probability as going away from the blue red 55 EMA, which either just broke through and turned it blue for a buy, or it came down, touched it, and then carried back on trend for a buy. So moving away from the EMAs is stronger than moving towards them. Same stuff as scalping, it's the same rules, and that doesn't change.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Andrew unmuted himself. Did you want to say something, Andrew?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
I
Me too.
really appreciate it.
okay, good. No problem at all. Well, thank you very much, guys. If there's no other questions, I don't have any updates, guys, on the alerts. I'm still waiting to hear. I put in again yesterday. When are the alerts coming? I still haven't heard back. We're meant to have another educator meeting tomorrow. They've cancelled both the last two just because of all the technical issues that they're facing, just getting version 3 to work. And the blurriness on the screen. We're trying to get a new provider that use Dolby technology, so we get sharper screens. Um,
Nice.
and a lot of it's to do with, to get sharper screens and sharper images, we have to have it running at higher definition, and higher definition means it puts bigger strain on the infrastructure. And so then we have to look at, higher grade infrastructure to handle all those. And then when we finish the session, obviously higher definition sessions take a lot longer to upload as a recorded session than they do when they're lower definition. And there's some other settings in OBS Studio that we use that we have to make compatible with whatever definition we're using. So it's not just straightforward as having a set of binoculars and turning a dial to get it in focus or not. It's not quite that simple. Otherwise, it'd be done by now.
That's a good update. It'd be great when those alerts come for our day trading.
I know.
That'll
Well,
that'll be great.
it's just a great upgrade for us because, and the more I think about it again, we've decided not to do alerts on the 1 minute or the 3 minute, only have them on the 5 minute, 15, the
Mm.
1 hour, and the 4 hour.
Well, that makes sense
He's
because
exact.
otherwise,
Yeah,
too
yeah,
many.
yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, there's too many. Second of all, if it comes on the 1 minute, you got 60 seconds to, get to a safe place, make sure you're connected, get your phone out, open your broker, analyze the trade to make sure you do want to take it. Because scorecards, if you're trading scorecards on the 4-6, how many times you get a scorecard pop up and it's not an entry for us? It's a beginner's entry, of course, but for us, we could wait, several candles, if at all, before the trade sets up for us. So for us, the alerts is, very much going to be a heads up thing. But you also know that very often the scorecard will come up, and on the scorecard at the same time, you'll have a super sniper arrow, blue candle, blue trend direction, blue snake, blue everything. It is time to get in. So I think the 5 minute will help us, even if we're scalpers. It'll give us a nice basis point for being able to take more trades and not having to be glued to um,
Mm,
our screens. And because we've got six as well, six alerts, again, you can see how busy it is when I'm on the New York Open, guys, with 3 charts open or 4 charts open. I mean, it's horrendous you know, trying to keep on top of it all just with 3 charts. So this
mm,
way, we're going to get alerts on six. If you want to, and also if you want to try trading other stuff like Forex, we got 2 Forex pairs that are going to be on there, guys. So again, if you're going to use those for your day trading, hey, pick those, Emma, because you're going to get
mm.
alerts on them.
Are you going to tell us which ones?
I think it was GPP USD and USD JPY.
Cool.
So again, my recommendation is pick one of those or both of those, and uh, let me just check that, guys, because I don't want to give you the wrong information. Hold on a sec. Let me just check that.
It's okay. I'll pick a chart to learn. That's one of those ones.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mm,
that's what I would do because when the alerts come out, if you're already trading those, I mean, the alerts are only going to help you in
mm,
terms of what's coming up. Even if the trade is turning against you, if you're in a buy and you get alert that a sell scorecard's coming up on the 4 hour, then you might go and have a look at your trade just to see, well, hold on, I'm in profit here already. Didn't get where I wanted to go, but yeah, I don't like that red scorecard. I'm going to take my pips and get out. Or you'll do a partial
mm,
close, or whatever.
mm,
Or like we
mm,
do, like we know, we can get out of that trade, wait to see if we get a reversal and get back in again.
mm.
So I think the
Yeah, sounds
alerts are going to
good.
help us, yeah, whatever we're doing.
Cool. Thank
All right,
you. It's been a
guys.
great session.
Yeah.